Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Docm77 and Rendog's ARG of Hermitcraft. I am Jonas_Jones, and I am presenting to you episode 4 of the series. So if you haven't watched the previous episodes yet, make sure to do so before continuing with this one. This episode contains spoilers, so make sure that you have watched all episodes from Doc and Ren if you don't want to get spoiled. But anyway, I promise to keep this intro short, and the longer I talk, the longer it gets, so let's start right off. After the end of last episode with the nice cliffhanger that was only possible because that episode came out 2 weeks late and I already knew what was going to happen, I am starting this episode by explaining what is about the word Thunderstruck. In fact, there is so much about it. Doc made an entire 42-minute long episode about it, and don't forget about Ren, who also made an entire episode about it. As you can already see in the thumbnails of their videos, Thunderstruck leads to a very mysterious looking tower type thing with spider legs. Now this fits perfectly into the theme of Ren and Doc's building approach this season, as almost all of their buildings so far are attached to at least 4 diagonal deep slate copper legs, which look amazing. But what happened between Thunderstruck and that structure? Well, Thunderstruck is revealed when the global score of the asteroid game, as showed last time, hits 0, counting down from about 88,888,888. Doc and Ren's community made this possible in a very short amount of time, using bots that would play the game and gather points to lower the global score. To speed up things even more by typing scooter into the terminal, you could unlock some sort of hyper mode allowing you to play the game way faster. You would get the word by following Doc on Twitter and reading one of his posts where there is a link to the song Hyper Hyper by Scooter. Unfortunately though, that is not possible anymore as far as I know. Once the score hits 0, the word Thunderstruck appears below the start and restart button in the menu, depending on whether you have or haven't played the game before refreshing the page. Typing Thunderstruck into the code submission field, the please enter code text slowly turns into a link. This link leads to a schematic on Planetminecraft.com. I will put the link down in the description. Anyway, the preview image is very dark and can only barely, and with YouTube compression probably even less, see a building in the background. There is also this 3D view by Planetminecraft, which allows you to inspect worlds and schematics directly in the browser. I find this very useful, but unfortunately it doesn't work for this one. I assume that 3D view is enabled automatically for any project that is marked as a schematic or world, because a file in the zip folder is a .litematic file, which isn't a regular schematic but one that is created with the Litematica mod, a very useful mod. I will not go into too much detail, as it is mostly used for creating and rebuilding schematics using blueprints one by one, but I use it a lot. What we understand when we say schematic is a so-called sponge schematic, which is the one that Worldedit accepts. Links to both mods are in the description down below. Let's continue with what is on the website. First of all, the name. I'll not try to read it as it makes no sense at all, but I can proudly present to you that trying to decrypt anything in this ARG has finally led to some interesting results. I have decrypted the title of the project using the Visionaire cipher encryption. Thanks, I forgot your name in the comments for telling me how to pronounce it correctly, but video editing me will display a screenshot of your comment now, and the result is well interesting. After a bunch of nonsense when using other keywords, I found out that when you decrypt the title with the keyword Lucy, it says Hermitcraft Blueprint 2 POWERNODE 1, only to find out that other people had already done that as well. The publisher of this schematic is called Operator GOATMAN, but his profile looks pretty empty. The description of the project includes some code that looks to me like PHP. Now, I haven't worked with PHP in a while, but the whole $sign situation looks very similar to it. Comments have been disabled on this project. When downloading the file, you get to see the name of it for the first time. PowerNode1 -e1980.zip. Now the PowerNode1 thing also appears when decrypting the name of the project, but what about the E1980? I have no idea, but if you know something about it, please leave a comment down below. Anyway, the name of the schematic in the zip file is called PowerNode, but that's it. The schematic has an arc slottle in the glass sphere, and because they don't have any in their base, Doc and Ren go and steal one from the cavern they discovered in the past. They pick the one with the name C. After Ren and Doc build the structure, Doc flies up to the top and breaks into the giant glass sphere, explaining what he thinks the redstone contraption in its interior might do. He says it's a zero-tick redstone clock, triggering a piston that when extended touches a lightning rod in the center of the structure. Doc throws the 5 tridents he had just bought from Etho right on the edge of the lightning rod so that when the piston extends, the hitbox of the tridents would be inside of the collision box of the piston head, forcing the tridents to go on top of the piston head, and when the piston retracts, they would fall down on a lightning rod again. This would result into an endless loop because of the zero-tick clock generating zero-tick pulses every game tick. We all know what this would do when the thunderstorm would come to the Hermitcraft server, right? But wait, this is really rare. But how rare is it actually? In Minecraft there is a rain counter and a thunderstorm counter. The rain counter starts from a random value between 12,000 and 179,999 ticks, and every time the counter hits 0, rain is either toggled on or off, depending on its current state. 20 ticks is 1 second, which means that every 0.5 to 7.5 in-game days, rain is toggled on or off. One day containing of 12 minutes of daytime and 8 minutes of nighttime is 20 minutes long. The thunderstorm counter resets to the same value range as the rain counter, but will only toggle thunderstorm on when there is already rain. This makes it really rare to get a thunderstorm, but this is exactly what happens as it says in the Minecraft wiki. The chances of a thunderstorm occurring are 1.44%, which is very inaccurate because there is no information about how often the game checks if both counters are toggled on. So I had to do the calculation by myself to know how often the game actually checks the state of the 2 counters. And here's my formula that does that. X turns out to be 1.00002. The unit is of course game ticks. I want to say that I came up with this formula completely by myself. I'm really proud of it, and it might be wrong, but the result looks promising. Basically, what this formula is doing is calculating the probability of a thunderstorm by adding the possibilities of all possible states of the counter and raising that to the power of 95,999.5, which is the middle between 12,000 and 179,000. This is the range in between the value is randomly chosen after a reset. Now, why x isn't exactly 1 is most certainly because of the value in the wiki being rounded. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's come back to the Hermitcraft server. The thunderstorm has been caused using the /weather command and wasn't natural. The only way that the thunderstorm was coming was that someone entered /weather thunder. Why am I so sure about this, you ask? Well, the answer is pretty simple. There was no rain. And remember, no rain, no thunderstorm. The only other way is that there was rain, and literally in the small amount of time that the weather slowly changes from clear to rain, the thunderstorm counter could have hit 0. But we're talking about odds that are so incredibly small that they are basically not real. Apparently the noise of the 5 lightnings per tick is so loud that hermits from all over the continent start to slowly approach the tower. After the storm is over, Doc notices a red beacon beam coming out of the tower. He flies up and right in between the top of the tower and the bottom of the sphere, and discovers a ladder leading down into the tower, where there is a book in item form on the ground. The name of it is again in binary and is a letter L. Inside of the book there are new coordinates and some sort of statement. The coordinates lead to a mushroom island in the northwest of the continent, and I think that that mushroom island is where Ren built his farms, as Doc shows in his episode what farms Ren had built and revealing that it was in a mushroom biome. The statement says, "The new might save the old." Now this makes no sense, it could be a typo, but I assume it's just another clue. Also, after the thunderstorm, the axolotl in the giant tank at the top of the tower had turned into a blue one, who is no longer named C. At the end of Asuma's 1013th episode, there are some weird noises, but that's about it for this episode. Thanks for watching, please leave a like, consider subscribing, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank God I finally catch up with Doc and Ren's videos, but their next ones are coming out soon, and by the time you see this, they might already be out. Anyway, there is not much left to say other than that I now know how to make these video chapter things in theory, and if you can't see them, then I managed to do it. If not, then I'm a complete moron. This is me after listening through my recording and noticing the big amount of swallowing noises I did. I'm sorry for that. I'll try my best to stop that for the next episode. It was just too much to cut out.